Hello everyone, today we're talking about communicating with students. We're looking at the Distinguished Level 3A. What we look for in the evaluation is, do the kids know why they are learning what they are being taught? Is that being communicated by the teacher? If we were to ask the kids what's going on and why are you doing it, they should be able to tell us. At the distinguished level, they're always able to tell us. The directions are clear, they're not confusing, there's not kids coming up to the teacher, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? Think of CIA, clarity, imagination, and accuracy. That happens when the teacher is communicating with students. CIA, clarity, imagination, and accuracy. They link the subject that's being taught to the interests of students, and they encourage the students to think on their own. Language is error-free, and it extends the vocabulary for the children. There is a lot of encouragement for students to think on their own. Today we're talking about communicating with students, and we're looking at the proficient level 3A. At this level, when we go in to do evaluations, we look to see if the purpose for the learning is made clear to the students. If we were to ask the students, what are you learning and why are you learning it? At the proficient level, the students would be able to explain why they are learning what they are learning. Directions are clear. There's very few students that come back up to the teacher and say, what are we supposed to do? The proficient and the distinguished level teachers have found ways to give directions so that there's not a lot of questions about things. It might be explaining to your neighbor, the other students, what they're supposed to do, why they're doing it, these kinds of things. It's just something that proficient and the distinguished level teachers do. CIA, clarity, imagination, and accuracy. The proficient teacher inspires clarity. They speak with clarity, they touch the imagination, and they are accurate in the things that they talk about. They link the topic to student interests, and they encourage the students to think on their own. The language is error-free, which extends the vocabulary, and one of the most important things they do is they encourage the students to think on their own. Today we're talking about communicating with families, and we're looking at the basic level. At the basic level, these teachers are new to the profession, or they haven't gained the skills that they need yet to be either at the proficient or the distinguished level. They try to communicate the purpose of the learning to the students, but it doesn't always happen exactly the way it should at the proficient or distinguished levels. And if we were to ask students why they are learning what they're learning, some would know, some would not. Directions are not totally clear. Sometimes they're a little confusing, and you'll see a few students that are confused about what they're supposed to be doing. CIA, clarity, imagination, and accuracy. The accuracy is kind of hit and miss. Clarity is a little fuzzy, and imagination leaves a little to the imagination. They just haven't been in the profession long enough to get the skills that they need there. Linked to student interests, a lot of times a basic teacher will just teach it because they're supposed to teach it. It's on the schedule, so let's dig in, rather than finding ways to link it to student interests, which would be the proficient or the distinguished level. Students are encouraged to think on their own, not so much. The basic teacher wants to get the right answer and move on. Language is error-free, extending the vocabulary, maybe, but language at the basic level might be a little hit and miss. There might be some more errors. Extending the vocabulary doesn't always happen. And encouraging students to think on their own at the basic level. The basic level teacher just wants to get through the lesson, and so students thinking on their own kind of gets in the way for them. Today we're talking about communicating with students, and we're looking at the unsatisfactory level. Students do not know why they are learning what they are learning and they don't understand the purpose of it. If we as evaluators were to ask students, why are you learning what you're learning? I don't know. It's just what we're doing. Directions are not clear, and after directions are given by the teacher, there's a whole line of kids saying, what are we supposed to do? Or they're asking each other, what are we supposed to do? Why are we doing this? CIA, clarity, imagination, and accuracy. Things are not clear. There's not much imagination. And accuracy, there's lots of errors. They do not tie things to the interests of students because that would interfere with the length of the lesson, and they just want to get through it and get done. Encouragement to think on your own, they're just not comfortable doing that. They haven't learned those skills yet, and nor do they seem to be trying to get them. Language is error-free, not at the unsatisfactory level. There's just lots of errors and reteaching and extending vocabulary, not so much. Encouraging students to think on their own, no, that'll just get in the way, take more time. So, if you have any questions on improving on any of these areas, see your building administrator or give us a call. I'm Scott Shirley. Bye now.